Laying Down the Law is brought to you by Hop Dottie Burger Bar, Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill, Terra Vista Golf Club, Max Life Direct, ScoutsViewSports.com, and the University of Texas at Austin's Professional Development Center. Well, good morning. Welcome to Laying Down the Law here on 1250 ESPN San Antonio and now on 94.5 FM. I am James Pledger, filling in for Steve Foster. Alongside me, Rod Chico Tanner of the AAU. What's going on, Rod?
Good morning. Wake up, San Antonio. Steve is out, but we are in.
Steve is out, but we are in. Steve is actually out in Glendale, Arizona. Scottsdale, Arizona, to be precise, as he's getting ready for the Pro Bowl festivities, celebrating the 20-year anniversary of his co-host, Jeff Blake, who made the Pro Bowl back in 1996 and was actually had some mind-boggling stats when you look at for that time.
Yes.
You know, you look at it now and you're like, you know, the stats now, you know, they stack up with, you know, an average score. But back then, that was something.
Yeah,
that
Jeff
was something
Blake
back then.
Getting it done. He was getting it done.
The game's changed. You know, 4,000's nothing. 4,000's nothing now.
Yeah.
Everybody throws for 4,000 now.
You probably can throw for 4, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all day.
Just let me drop back 50 times a game. Throw those little short bubble screens. I got this.
You got it. I
got this. But, yeah, so Steve's out there doing his thing, getting ready. He's going to join us here in a second. But, you know, the talk all week long, Deflategate this, Deflategate. I'm tired of it.
And you're tired of it to the point.
I'm tired. I'm not even going to call it Deflategate because guess what? I wasn't alive during Watergate. I didn't go through that. I don't feel the incessant need to put gate at the end of every controversy.
Yeah. So I understand you have a different take and even a tag on this.
Yeah. Well, I just want to call it flexball. Flexball, because they're, you know, it's at Gillette Stadium. It involves the Patriots. You saw the flexball behind them on the Gillette banner for the promotion, and I think it's funny because, and a little bit kind of ironic that flexball is sitting there behind them and they're dealing with a deflated ball scandal and making it more flexible and easy to catch, easier to hold on to, so you can't pry it out when you're fumbling. But, you know, I woke up yesterday morning, ice on my car. Had to stop, fill up my tires. They were about 7-8 pounds per square inch too low. They were supposed to be at 32. They were down around 34. I hadn't checked them in a while. I wake up again this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Supposed to be at 32. They're actually around 25, 26. So over the course of one day, sitting outside my apartment, I had to stop and fill up because the tires in my car lost about 7 to 8 pounds per square inch on the way here.
Interesting.
Why? Did somebody go outside and literally deflate my tires, or was it
somebody's monitoring you?
Somebody's monitoring me, making
your tires
sure
every time you go to bed.
They don't want me to be overinflated.
Yes, they don't want you to be overinflated. Yeah.
So I think Tony Romo probably said it best. Friday morning, he was on Mike and Mike in the morning, right here on 1250 ESPN San Antonio and 94.5 FM. Mike and Mike, weekdays 5 to 9, and he said, you know, it's kind of not that big of a deal on the whole ball process thing, and he explained what the process is pre-game.
You go through the balls and you pick out 12 for the game, and you go give it to your equipment manager, and he gives them to the refs, and from there you don't see them until 5-10 minutes before the game, and then at that point it's up to your ball boys. I mean, and those are people that are on your team, and those are the guys that you go over and see before the game. I guess might throw a ball or two, and that's kind of how the process goes. Okay, so once again, quarterback goes through, finds out what he wants, and then he really doesn't see him again until 15 minutes before the game is when he sees those footballs again. 15 minutes before kickoff. You know, and everybody's asking Bill Belichick. Everybody's going to Bill Belichick for answers.
Well, and you know why?
Well, because they've been in it before. But, Tony Romo says, you know what, guess what? Head coach really doesn't have a whole lot to do with the footballs.
They don't, but you...
Our head coach doesn't have anything to do with the footballs, on game day. That part of it is, just an accurate sentiment, I think, across the league. And, as far as the ball situation, I don't have a great answer for it. I do think you should question the ball boys, and it usually comes back to the special teams and the quarterback.
Okay, so it comes back to the special teams and the quarterback. Head coach got nothing to do with it. Really doesn't have anything to do with the footballs at all. But Tony Romo, once again, here on Mike and Mike, Friday morning, 5 to 9 here on 1250 ESPN San Antonio. Tony Romo joined them on Friday, and he said, you know what, more than anything, he thinks it's probably just Patriot fatigue.
It's a thing. We're going to talk about it. It's about the issue, the integrity of the game, and blah, blah, blah. But I also feel like we're really going to another level because it's this team who's been so successful, and you're trying to just take them down a peg as well, too. And so the league will do their investigation, and they'll come up with what they came up with.
But isn't that what we do in our society? We find something great, and then after it becomes great and we prop it up on a pedestal, we try and tear it back down. Isn't that kind of what the Patriots are right now? They have this sustained success, and now everybody wants to try and bring them down a peg?
Well, there's that. Yes, there's that, and you have a history, and whenever you have a history, people are going to question you. There's that part of it too. But you're right. That happens in our society all the time. Somebody rises to greatness.
We build them up to a point that we have nothing left to do but tear them down.
Yeah, it happens. It happens in politics.
Happens in entertainment, happens in sports, happens in almost every walk of life that we go through. And it's really kind of sad in that respect, but
it's like all the Cowboy haters out there. People just hate the Cowboys for no reason.
Oh,
and
no,
I love my Cowboys.
I have plenty of reason. Don't worry.
Hey, watch it there, buddy.
Hey, Jerry Jones be bad-mouthing my team, I got no love for you.
Well, we do have an interesting owner. Okay. That much I'll give you.
He said some things about my Oilers when I was growing up that I can never root for him. I can never cheer for him. Maybe when Jerry Jones is gone, I can open up a little piece, but you
can open up a little spot in your heart for
maybe way in a back corner, tucked away somewhere. But as long as he's still kicking, I've got nothing but vitriol for that team.
Oh wow, okay, well,
just like I do, same reason I do for the Buffalo Bills.
Okay,
I don't like them. They ripped my heart out several times, but one time in particular was very, very painful. And, Jim Kelly, great quarterback. So glad to hear that he's cancer-free and overcome everything he's come. Don't like him. Don't care for him. Marv Levy, don't care for you. Steve Tasker, don't care for you. Bruce Smith, don't care for you. Thurman Thomas, don't care for you.
Whoa.
Frank Reich especially, don't care for you.
Man,
Andre Reed.
They hurt you, didn't they?
They hurt me bad. I mean, when you're up 35-3 at the half, you think things are going to go your way. You got visions of playing the Cowboys in the Super Bowl that year, which they would have. It would have been an all-Texas Super Bowl.
Yep.
Then Frank Wright, after we knocked Jim Kelly out the game, comes back and just rips my heart out, man.
Okay.
It hurt me.
He needs a hug.
But speaking of our man, Steve Foster, he is out there in Scottsdale as he gets ready for not only the big game, but also the Pro Bowl. Steve Foster, welcome to Laying Down the Law.
Gentlemen, good morning.
How you doing? What's your take on the flex ball? I refuse to call it anything gate because I wasn't alive during Watergate. That doesn't apply to me, and I don't feel the incessant need to put gate on the end of everything.
I was around during Watergate, and for those that don't know, it's actually a business complex in the Washington, D.C. area. So that's where the gate comes from. They didn't add it to it. It was the name of the building complex. So for whatever that's worth, I've never tried to blame
There was no gate around these footballs for all I know.
Right. Well, I've never put a loss on the football. From a little kid in Album and Sumatra Park in El Paso, Texas, all the way up through to Valley Ranch now and Nebraska, undefeated seasons and things of that nature, and being around Jason Garrett and Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin and Darren Woodson. Nobody's ever claimed a ball to be the object of discussion. Gary Brown, who was starting running back and now running backs coach.
But because it's the Patriots, do you think
nobody? Last night we sat down to dinner with him and Coach Joe Baker, who's also on the Cowboys staff coaching today. You heard Gary Brown's wife on the show a few weeks ago, the Cowboys' wife. Nobody has gone. The ball had anything. It said fundamentals: run, block, and tackle. You do that, you win. You don't, and as you mentioned, one of the most heartbreaking NFL games of all time in the early '90s. And as I said, no one ever wins a football game at halftime. So I could care less. Are we going to start blaming the fact that people lose to the Spurs when they do because the PSI is a little bit less than the basketball?
No, it wasn't the PSI. It was the fact that they turned the air conditioning off, Foss, remember?
Right. Exactly. These things are ridiculous. And again, we need to go back to old school Chico. We need to go back when Jeff Blake was playing in the Pro Bowl, and you couldn't use these excuses. Your parents would never let you say, oh, well, the reason why Chico didn't get this done because the ball was too flat when he made the pass on the soccer field. Yeah. It didn't get across, for the entry pass on goal because the ball was too PSI.
Too light.
Really?
Hey, you know what? I'm going with it's the Nerf ball scandal now. Because you remember the Nerf, man? We could throw that thing a mile. So that's what it is.
Had the little rocket tail on the end?
Yeah, they're playing with a Nerf ball. There it is.
Hey, Foss, what do you think? I know you were listening. Tony Romo's comments where he's talking about Patriot fatigue is the reason that this has become a story, just because they have been so successful over the years. And in our society, we just try and build everything up before we tear it back down.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting. I think also the officials who are the ones that came up with this may be trying to deflect their poor calls that they've made over these last couple of weeks in the playoffs. And now we need to blame the evil empire, Bill Belichick, as you mentioned, and what Tony Romo said, of course, as well. And, a lot of the media, as we stood on the sidelines of practice yesterday at Scottsdale Community College, they were talking about this. But anybody who had played the game just dismissed it and was not, it's ad nauseum, way past any kind of discussion at this point. If you want to fine them, fine them.
Yeah.
People are saying, well, if you go 56 miles an hour in a 55, you've broken the law, technically. And these are just people, to me, that, the legalistic approach to everything. I don't have explanations. I don't. But I know when you lose by 38 points in a football game, you're not going to
win. Now, what about the fact that you were running back, and I've heard people come out and say, and I unfortunately the way Mark Brunell was like picking up the football, he was like massaging it before he threw it. I was like, who does that before a game? But I do get the point where you being a running back, they say it's easier to hold on to. You can kind of dig your hands into it, and it makes it harder to rip out, especially in adverse conditions.
Well, players, someone asked me about that, and my comment is guys that fumble the ball at 11.5, 12.5, and 13.5 because it's the technique they use to hold the ball. They get sloppy with it. A person who doesn't fumble a football as a rusher at any of those pounds per square inch as well because they are very meticulous around the 5 points of pressure and maintaining possession of a football. So nobody ever says, And I've felt the ball, and, here's another thing, going through college, not just using the Wilson NFL football, Oregon uses a Nike brand ball. And I talked to a friend of mine who works at the Wilson Football Factory. Wilson made an Oregon football for that championship in AT&T. However, only Ohio State, because the factories in Ada, Ohio, use the Wilson ball. It's got 11 12, 13 PSI, be a little bit different feel in the Wilson ball than the Nike ball? Yes. Is it shaped somewhat a little different? Yes, because of patents and different productivity. No one on Oregon said they lost because their ball wasn't as good as the Nike ball. It's just preposterous.
Steve Foster, our regular host, joining us here live from Scottsdale, Arizona, where he is at the Pro Bowl, joining Coach Jason Garrett's staff up there, doing his thing, having a couple of parties, I believe, with Hop Dottie Burger Bar, Spyro Footwear. Anybody else that's up there with you?
You know,
Max Life Direct, I believe.
Yeah, and I tell you, I've only been here one full day, and man, I haven't had a lot of sleep. It's just seeing a lot of folks, and really, it's.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
It's a workcation, and you know, thank goodness that I guess the rumors and things around Sam Shields and things like that have died down. I posted a picture with him. You know, people, you compete each weekend, and people are going to lose, people are going to win. If, in fact, you want to send a message, find the Patriots, move on. You know, some people have made comments, so I was very fortunate to go home to El Paso, and some people were like, let's play the game over again because, you know, this is what happened. No,
that's
not needed.
There's no do-overs.
That's the second time this year they beat them by 38, so I really don't think that they need to play them again.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's ridiculous. Y'all have fun in studio. I'll get an opportunity to check back in.
Yeah, I'll check back in with you.
Got a little VIP tailgate prior to the Pro Bowl. Been very fortunate to travel this type of way. And, you know, you guys enjoy and certainly appreciate hearing you, James. And also,
I appreciate the opportunity, Foss. And we'll be checking in with you once again at 10 o'clock, and we'll get more thoughts from you. We'll go a little bit more in-depth on the Pro Bowl. And Mr. Jeff Blake, your co-host, who's celebrating his 20th year anniversary of said game, which is tonight on ESPN at 7 o'clock. Plus, we'll also get your Super Bowl predictions, get a little discussion on this actual game, and away from flex ball, as I like to call it.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Foss. We'll be back with more here on Land on the Law, here on 1250 ESPN San Antonio, and now on 94.5 FM.